Good evening, Assalamu alaikum, Goeienaand, Molweni. I'm EBRAHIM RASOOL. I've been associated with the African National Congress for 40 years. The first part of that was the brave and glorious ones in which we fought in the struggle for liberation, and many of you were with us in the streets of Athlone, in the streets of the Western Cape. The second part of that was in the golden years when we governed in national and in provincial levels, and even some of your leaders were in that cabinet, were in the Bambananis, were in the community development workers, the EPWP, and we raised the economy of this province and the country to over 5%. I was also in this ANC in the dark years when after Polokwane, we descended into the corruption that engulfed our country, and we needed to understand that, and it is out of that that I was recalled and we were able to move forward. I agreed to be here tonight because my condition is that we must clean up the ANC as the precondition to cleaning up the country. We must get the ANC back on track, because whatever polls there are, every poll at a national level says that there will be a government that must include the ANC, and whatever we put in there must be an ANC that is clean and up to the task. I want to further say that the reason that we are in this is because we need to maintain the momentum that the ANC had started in ensuring that the battle against the genocide must not only be intensified but must be concluded, and that battle must ensure that the Palestinians eventually are free, that they have a state, and that all of us can have the same rights that the Palestinians demand today. Thank you very much.
Right, thank you very much. We're going to go to the second half of the program this evening, in which the moderators will ask each of the candidates one question, and they have 1 minute to reply. After that, questions will be open to the House, and there will be a roving mic for that particular procedure. I'm going to ask our fellow moderator, Conita Hunter, to pose the first question to a particular political party.
Shukran, thank you very much. Your time starts now, candidate.
Thank you very much. I think that at the provincial level, the absolute priority is recruit and deploy 20,000 Bambananis to the crime hotspots and the violence hotspots so that we can bring peace to our people. The second, at the national level, is to open bid windows 6 and 7 to get new sources of renewable energy, and immediately to start the process of building the transmission lines to make sure that energy security remains as it is now. And finally, at an international level, to take the anti-genocide campaign further by going to the ICC and charging individual leaders who are in charge of that genocide, in addition to the ICJ action.
Thank you very much, sir.
Be free from the yokes of Zionism and colonization. We will close the embassies of every single...
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It takes a programmatic approach by saying that we've got to use EPWP in order to get ECD, early childhood development, so every child gets an early start. You've got to use the child support grant to make sure that young children stay in school and do the best throughout the primary and secondary. The NSFAS needs to be cleaned up and streamlined, and it needs to be targeted towards the skills required in the fourth industrial revolution. And then finally, youth who graduate must be mentored and must have learnerships in order to be able to be entrepreneurial and artisanal according to the skills that are required.
Thank you.
That is done.
Sit down. Just sit down, please. Right, let's proceed to the next question. Thank you. A lady over there in the aisle has been standing with her hand up for quite a while there. I'm just pointing. Yeah. All right.
Thank you very much. First and foremost, I'm not even going to respond to the stupidity vitriol you were spewing. There are a couple of parties. I represent Rise Mzansi. And we are a force to be reckoned with. To the ANC, Mr. EBRAHIM RASOOL, you signed into law the abortion bill and the liquor bill when you were premier. Now you're asking these people to back you and your party with your record of corruption, maladministration, and misrepresentation. Please explain why we should vote for you when your hypocrisy says that you will say one thing and do another thing. Thank you.
Right, just please let the respondent. We're not going to rebuild a country by shouting at each other. That doesn't solve problems. Let's try and think things through, and I will ask to answer the question, please.
No, thank you very much. Thank you very much for the question. I want to say that the termination of pregnancies is a national act, not a provincial one. Secondly, I want to say that in the act of dealing with shebeens, the number was reduced from 32,000 illegal shebeens to 12,000 legal ones, not able to be within 100 meters of a school, not able to be within 100 meters of a place of worship, and not open to children under the age of 18. As the Quran says, sometimes something appears bad for you, but it is good, and we look for the good in it. And so the reason that we deal with the issue of voting for the African National Congress, we are the first to say that the ANC has blemished its record, but only the ANC can clean up the country. Only the ANC has amputated those who have been corrupt. They are now in their own parties, and therefore we will continue that path. And I think that what we need to be able to say is that we have unfinished business with the Palestinian issues as well, and the gift of the Palestinians to South Africa, the gift of the Palestinians to the ANC is that they have shown us our morality again, they have shown us our true north again, and we are thankful for that. And so we prepare next weekend for a major visit from global ulama on a kalima to shukr, to thank the ANC, to thank South Africa for the role that we have played. So we say vote for us because there is unfinished business and only we can finish that business.
Right. That
on the second question, I want to say that every month 18 billion rand is spent on SASSA, looking after 23 million South Africans. If you are over the age of 60, you get a pension. If you are sick or disabled, you get a grant. If you are under 18, you get a child support. If you are a student at university, you get a NSFAS. And so I want to say the gap that we are looking at, is precisely the 25 to 40, and that's the point at which we say we should prioritize the learnerships so that we can have mentorships and entrepreneurial and vocational training, so that we don't just give money, but we use it with a purpose to be able. And then in addition, for those over 40 and others who are unemployed, there is the distress grant which has been extended, which is under consideration for expansion. Thank you very much.
to the candidates, please. Thank you.
Good day to you. My name is Nazim Dolly. My first question is Mr. EBRAHIM RASOOL. You talk about the millions of people that is on SASSA, right? When I got a son that is going from school, do you think you have to live on SASSA or do you have to have a job? Right? At the end of the day, I've got 4 sons. Alhamdulillah, 3 of them are working. I'm just wondering if my son is going to live on SASSA or if he's going to have a job. You, ANC, must become creating jobs. That is the story. And then for you also, Mr. EBRAHIM RASOOL, don't use the masjid. Because a few years at Bontewil, you came to the masjid, you let the police officers take the 3 first halves, and let all our children and grown men stand at the back. Don't Islam teach you the best half is the first half? Be careful what you do to your deen. Be careful what you do to your deen. Don't let the ANC lose your deen. And then for you, Mr. DA, right? Do you know you must come to Bontewil? Then you can see the EWP people, the colored men is being used to fight against the colored men. Then they stand the whole Bonteville full, and you just underpay the people for working EPWP work. You must wake up, you must come out of Pylons and come to Bonteville, where Ashley Creel, Anton Franz died for the freedom of you.
Thank you very much.
And you must be careful what to do
Thank
and what
you.
you say.
You've been heard.
Your
Thank
life
you. Your
is
voice-
reckoned by Allah.
Thank you. I would.
No, thank you very much. I think the essence of the SASSA is only to look after those who are vulnerable and not as a crutch in life. And that is why the translation of SASSA, when you are no longer a child who must be in school and must be kept in school, is to then get a NASFAS in order to go to university or college, and then secondly, to get into learnerships so that you can learn a trade or you can learn a skill. So that, I think, is the best path that we must go forward, and inshallah, your son will get that. And then I can't remember, and ek sal vra vir die boete om te Sumba, that indeed the police took up the whole front soft and pushed the people to the back, because that is not within my recollection. Thank you very much.
For the DA, because they're the governing, they're the reason why we're here. I just want to ask DA, so the question I want to ask you is, can you tell me, since you have been in power, our lives got better? That's a simple question. For the ANC.
All right, for the question of time now, because we want to try and entertain everybody, and our broadcast time is running
no problem.
out.
For
We
the
just
ANC,
one question per person.
Okay, let me just,
Thank you.
The ANC, the last one, the ANC is always speaking about Palestine. He throws it in a lot. So I'm wondering, is this a political stand? Because if it isn't a political stand, why isn't Israel flags being banned? Why are you allowing Zionist funders to fund political parties, but you took them to court, but you're allowing them to protest in our country?
The questions. Thank you.
And would you, as a person, vote for the same thing twice for the same result?
Okay, DA candidate for less than 1 minute, then to ANC. Thank you.
Okay, so you want to know if your life is better? It's very simple. There's one metro that works. There's one province that works. We've got the lowest job opportunities. We have the lowest unemployment rate. We have roads at work. We have factories at work. We have people in jobs. So you're way better off in the Western Cape. Why do most of the poor people leave the other provinces to come to the Western Cape? Because you can have a better life here. You'll have access to health care.
Okay,
you'll have access to school. You'll have access to a job.
Thank you very much.
And we've got the lowest coefficient of difference between the rich and the poor. So you're definitely better off in the Western Cape.
No, thank you. Thank you very much. I listened to Councillor Davids and I want to respond, because he says the Western Cape works, and I want to ask for whom. I want to say that when I was Premier and the ANC government, the unemployment rate was 18%, they took it up to 20%. When we were here, sanitation was at 95%. In Nyanga, Guguletu and Langa, it is less than that, and they have gone backwards. I want to further say that on all the key issues, they've removed Bambanani, they've removed a key aspect. But let me come to the question that was asked about Palestine. I think we can do a whole lot of symbolic things, but what South Africa has done at the ICJ is to effectively turn back the narrative that Israel is a victim of history. It is now clear that Israel is the perpetrator of a genocide. What South Africa has done is to say that Israel is not in a war of self-defense. Israel is an aggressive occupier. What South Africa has done at the ICJ is to make sure that Palestinians are not subhuman and demonized, but that Palestinians are people, and that has enabled a global reaction against Israel, and that is what we are seeing on the campuses. And why was it not a stunt? Because the consequences are potentially enormous. Congress in the USA is meeting to consider a bill to kick South Africa out of AGOA. What that means is 40,000 tons of oranges not being able to be exported, that 3 Series BMWs not being exported. It's easy to say, let it go, but there are thousands and thousands of workers who may be at stake, and that's the principled position we have taken. Thank you very much.